Hey, it's Vanessa. I'm back with a brand new tutorial, and this time we're going to be making these really cute holiday treat or gift bags. They're a double drawstring, so to open it, you basically just pull it open at the top, and to cinch them up, you can just do it like this. Super easy to make, a great scrap busting project to use up those 2.5-inch strips that most of you probably have out there. Now let's get started. So the fabric that I'm going to be working with is called Santa's Here by Ben Artex, and what you want to do for this size of a bag, okay? You want to just piece together 5 of the strips. If you want the bag to be bigger, you just cut a longer strip, or if you want it to be wider, you add more strips to it. So I have 5 nice coordinating prints here, and we are going to actually cut this in half, because when we piece them together, you end up getting this. If you use a 1/4 inch seam that's pretty consistent, from here to here, the width of the whole strip set should measure 10.5 inches. And the other way, it's going to be about 42 to 44, depending on what fabric collection you're using. So if you cut that in half and you end up with 2 chunks that are 21 inches, you can make 2 outer parts of the drawstring bags. So all we're going to need is 1 of those. So just to go over the measurement again, I have cut that long strip set in a chunk here in half pretty much that measures 21 inches by 10.5. Okay, now once you have that, this is obviously going to be the outside part of our bag here. For the lining, I like to use just a straight, solid fabric, something simple that's not going to have quite as many seams as our strip set here. And to do that, all you're going to do is cut out a corresponding piece of your lining fabric. It has to measure the same as the front. So if your 1/4 inch seam is not that consistent, no worries. Just measure it. Once you piece together the 5 strips, measure it and see what the width measurement is and cut your lining piece to match it, okay? So 21 inches by 10.5. Now, I have pieced together, this is my lining, just the solid red fabric here, and I have layered one on top of the other with the pretty sides touching, okay? So one side to the pretty side of the strip set, and I've sewn with a 1/4 inch seam on the right and the left. So you're sewing up the 2 short sides. After you do that, you're gonna wanna grab it in the center here. Now notice what I'm doing. I'm starting and putting them together right here where the seams that we just sewed are right down the center. So grab that in place, get your seams together, and put a pin there just to secure everything in place. And it helps if you put one seam allowance going in one direction and one in the other, so you reduce bulk a little bit on the ends. Now let's do this one here. Okay, just put a pin there. And I'm just putting a pin so that everything is held in place for my markings. So next, there's quite a few markings that we're doing here, so let me show you what you gotta do. On all 4 corners of this entire unit, we are measuring 1.5 inch by 1.5 inch squares. So I've already marked them out for you, but you can see here, 1.5 by 1.5. Go ahead and mark that on all 4 corners. Now the reason I did 1.5 is that I didn't want to mess with this seam that we have here with the extra bulk, so don't bother to cut it. Just clear it, come a little bit further down. That's why we have 1.5 by 1.5. Now some other marks. On the side that is the outer part of our bag, we have come here. Let me change this pin around, because what I did was flip this seam allowance towards the strip set. And from the edge of my seam allowance here, I measured 1 inch. So can you see where this goes from here to the number 1? I put a mark. And then from 1 to 2, which is a 1 inch measurement, I put another mark. And this is going to be our opening to run our drawstring closure through. You're going to repeat that to the other side. So we come down here, I flip the seam allowance. From the edge of that red lining, over here is 1, made a mark. 1 more inch over is 2. Okay, so we have an inch here, and then the next inch are going to be our opening. So we do that just on the strip set side. Now on the lining side, we also need to leave an opening to flip the whole bag right side out through. So just on one of the flat sides of the lining piece, I've left, about a 4 inch opening. So just make those marks so you know where to start and stop sewing. And then you're going to cut out those 1.5 inch by 1.5 inch squares that we put on all the corners. So I've done 2. Let me cut out the other 2 real quick. All right, so now we're ready to head over to the sewing machine and do some sewing. So keep in mind, you are going to have to start and stop at several places. The opening that we have on our lining, I will have to come down in here, okay, backstitch and backstitch at the beginning and at the end. So I'm going to backstitch here and stitch off and backstitch. Then I'll come here, backstitch, come down to here, back stitch, skip to here, back stitch. So there's quite a few openings. It's just the opening to flip it right side out and then the openings that we have on either sides for the drawstrings. And then after we do these sides, we're going to come back and do the corners. So let me just stitch up the sides and show you what we end up with. Now here's a quick tip. If you're sewing and you need to skip a space and keep sewing again, there's no need to cut your thread completely. What I do is I backstitch to stop it off, and then I'll pull the needle up and I'll just pull it. Lift your presser foot and pull that thread to come all the way to the other one. And when I'm done, then all you have to do is just snip those threads and it'll come right off. So I'm going to restart my stitching here. I'm getting to another point where I need to backstitch, stop, needle up, lift presser foot, pull it forward, come to the next part where I'm supposed to start stitching, backstitch, and then keep going. All right. So you can see where I stopped and started again, and then you have these threads. But because we've backstitched and secured it in place, everything is secure. You can just trim away those threads. It's a quick little tip for a lot of starting and stopping if you have projects like that. And then on this little drawstring part, we'll trim that. And here too. All right, so now let's head back to the sewing machine and do our corners. Now to box your corners, it's really simple. You're just going to separate the two layers of the fabric. If I can get my hands in here, great. And you're just going to spread them all like this, side to side, so that this lays nice and flat. And then we're going to take our 1/4 inch seam allowance and just stitch all the way across. It's not going to match up exactly, and the reason for that is that we've sewn a seam allowance here, but it's not a big deal. Just come in a little bit further, about 3/8 of an inch, or even 1/2 of an inch would be fine. And backstitch at the beginning of the ends, and we're going to do that to all 4 corners. So we're done with all that. You should have 4 boxed ends here. Now come to the lining part and you're going to flip the entire thing right side out. Okay. Now this is going to be the outside of our bag with the strips, of course. So we're going to close up our lining piece. I like to put my hand in here, make sure that I have everything poked out before I stitch up the lining opening. Okay, let's do the same for these guys. Looks good. Now for the opening here, this is going to be inside the drawstring bag, so it's not going to make a difference. I mean, you can do it by hand if you want to, but I'm just quickly going to go over to the sewing machine and stitch this in place. If you want to get it to hold, just hit it with a quick iron. Okay, stitch that closed real quick. All right, so now I just stitched that up there. You're going to push the lining inside the bag. Looks good. It's a nice little size gift bag, I think. And now give it a quick press right around the top opening. We want to get that lining to tuck inside and to stay in place so that we can top stitch it. Okay, we'll do the quick top stitch now. And then we're going to go around once we're done with this. And the top stitching part is just we're stitching close to the top edge to keep that lining down into place, okay? Okay, so the top stitching part is done. Now we just need to create the casing that we're going to run our strips or ribbon, whatever you want to do for the double drawstring part. So to do that, you can see on the side here, you can't really see where my opening is because we did it in the seam allowance. So it basically just folded under the seam allowance in there, and you can't really see where the opening is. So you get a nice clean finish. But if you reach in here, you'll see that there is an opening, okay? Now, if your seam allowances have been pretty consistent, then you're gonna have it on the exact same part here. So what you wanna do at this point is to locate the top and the bottom of that opening. So mine, I'm gonna clear it a little, just in case you make some wider strips. And then up here, I'm gonna start it here. Now you just need to take your little ruler and make those 1-inch marks all the way straight around the entire bag. So we're coming around to the other end here. Now I'm just going to head to the sewing machine, and you're going to use those lines that you marked as your stitching guides. So that's exactly where you're going to stitch all the way around on both lines. And if you have a free arm that you can get rid of or expose on your sewing machine, it's definitely going to help. It's going to go a lot smoother and easier. So the bag is done. The next step is to create the drawstring that we're going to run through there. And the pen that I use you can get rid of it with an iron. So let me get rid of those blue marks real quick. All right. Now to prep our strips, you're going to need 2 strips, ribbon strips, whatever you want to put through here. Now mine measure about 34 inches. You can do 36. You can make them longer if you want to, but I really wouldn't go much shorter than about 32 inches. Now it's cool because we get to use the strips that we had in our 2.5-inch strip pack. Now to prep this, you can get rid of your selvages at this point. I'm just going to briefly show you how we prep the fabric to create the strip, right? So you're going to lay it with the pretty side face down, and you're going to fold it in half lengthwise. And you're going to repeat that to the whole strip of whatever length you decide to do. Then you're going to come and grab the ends and put them to the center crease. Make them reach the center crease and press that again. Just like a double fold binding that we're making here. And then you refold everything on that initial fold line. That way all your raw edges are concealed on the inside and you get a nice strip here. Now, after you're done with that, you obviously want to close this up. So you'd go back to the sewing machine and with a straight stitch, stitch right here close to the both folded edges to keep the whole thing shut. Well, after you do that to 2 strips, you're going to end up with something that looks like this. And I have 2 here. And several of the strips packs that you can buy come with multiples of different fabrics. On this one, I used 2 different ones, you can see, that were kind of still in the same family. They're the neutrals of the collection. But on this one, I used 2 strips that were the same. So play around with that. Now to do this part, you are going to slip this in through one side of the casing, and you're just going to push it through. Notice I use a large safety pin. I just put the safety pin right through it and put it right through my casing, and I'm just going to push it all the way through until it comes back out on the same side I just went in through. So it needs to go around the entire bag once, okay? And I'll show you. Don't come out right here at the first opening. You got to make one full swing around the entire thing, and that's why they need to be pretty long. So you can see this is where I came in, and this is where I'm going to come back out. See that? How I went one full way around. And then just tug and push it out and fix it up so that they end up being equal lengths on the ends. Okay? And you can leave these guys here loosely. You can tie your knot now. I just grab them both and just tie a big knot to hold them in place, so they're not loose whenever you're opening or closing the drawstring. So just like that, just a little knot. And now with the other strip, you're going to do the same thing, but you're going to start on the opposite side. So we started here, we ended here, and now we're going to start on this end of our bag and do the same thing. A full rotation, come back right where I went in. All right. And there is your finished little holiday drawstring gift bag. I hope you all enjoyed this super easy tutorial. If you have your 2.5-inch strips, you can use those, use them from your stash. Remember that we always include a link in the description box below where you can click and find all the materials and supplies that I used to make this project for you today. If you enjoyed the video tutorial, definitely hit it with that thumbs up below, share it across the different social media sites, and don't forget, as usual, to click that subscribe button so you won't miss out on any of my future videos. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.